Hello students, we have already started chapter 4, second phase of the Indian national movement. Today we will read the assertive nationalists and main objectives of assertive nationalists, methods of assertive nationalists, then the contributions of the leaders of assertive nationalism. Okay, then after that only the aims and objectives of the Muslim League, that is in page 62. Just you open that book and at last you read that part. Okay, I will tell you again. We'll start now. The assertive nationalists. The period from 1905 to 1918 was marked by the emergence within the Congress of a new group of leaders known as assertive nationalists. They were called so because they advocated active resistance to British imperialism. They did not agree with the methods and ideology of the early nationalists. They condemned the British rule in India and held it responsible for the country's miserable condition. They called upon the people of India to make sacrifices for the sake of their country. They wanted to have a mass base for their movement. Three prominent leaders of this group were Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Lala Lajpat Rai and Bipin Chandra Pal. They are famous as the Lal Bal Pal trio. Then we will read the main objective of assertive nationalists. The main objective of the assertive nationalist was the immediate attainment of Swaraj or complete independence as it is existed in the United Kingdom. And what methods they have used? They advocated vigorous political action. They believed in using pressure tactics and direct action and adopt the policy of non-cooperation and resistance to unjust act. They gave new slogans to the national movement like non-cooperation, passive resistance, mass agitation, self-reliance, etc. First point is Swadeshi. Swadeshi means producing necessary items in one's own country and using them for one's use without being dependent on imported goods. Swadeshi and boycott are two sides of the same coin. Economic boycott of British goods and use of Swadeshi was designed to encourage Indian industries and provide the people with more opportunities for employment. Then, national education. A national scheme of education was planned which was to replace that of government controlled universities and colleges. A large number of national schools were established in East Bengal. Bengal National College was set up at Kolkata and different colleges also In Punjab, DAB movement also made considerable effort in spreading education through various schools and colleges. Pachiyappa National College at Chennai also made, and efforts were made to give education a national orientation in the vernacular languages. Then passive resistance. The assertive leaders believed in adopting the policy of non-violent resistance and vigorous political action to achieve their aims. Okay? Passive resistance means a way of opposing the government by peaceful means by refusing to obey orders. Okay? Then revivalism. Assertive nationalists revived self-respect by referring to India's past glory. Tilak revived the Shivaji festival in 1895. The assertive nationalists presented Chandragupta Vikramaditya, Rana Pratap and Shivaji as national heroes whose memory could inspire the masses to fight for their country. Then personal sacrifices also. The followers of the movement, they used self-reliance and were ready for self-sacrifice, suffering and hardship to achieve their goal. Mass involvement was also there. They had an abiding faith in the strength of the masses and proposed to win freedom through mass action. Then we will read the contributions of the three leaders, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Bipin Chandra Pal and Lala Lajpat Rai. Only contributions I will tell you, and you can see from your book. It is given in page 51, 52 and 53. Bal Gangadhar Tilak. Contributions of Bal Gangadhar Tilak, I will tell you now. Bal Gangadhar Tilak is known as the father of the assertive nationalism. He played a leading role in popularizing the cult of patriotism and making the Congress movement broad-based. Tilak believed that political rights could be achieved by aggressively demanding them. He started two newspapers, Maratha in English and Kesari in Marathi. Through them, he preached nationalism and taught the people to be courageous and self-reliant. He was the first nationalist leader who sought close contact with the masses and started akharas and lathi clubs. He started the Ganapati festival in 1893 and the Shivaji festival in 1895 to propagate nationalist ideas. He was the first to openly declare the demand for Swaraj. Swaraj is my birthright, he said, I shall have it. It was mostly due to Tilak's efforts that the Congress resolution at Kolkata demanding self-government, boycott and national education was passed. He believed in service and sacrifice and had the courage to defy the authority of the British government. He suffered several terms of imprisonment for the sake of the country. He started the Home Rule League in 1916. Tilak's patriotism, determination and courage aroused the masses against the British and opened a new chapter in the history of India's freedom struggle. Okay. Then we will read now Bipin Chandra Pal. Bipin Chandra Pal's contribution, I will tell you now. Bipin Chandra Pal is known as the father of the revolutionary thought in India. Along with Lala Lajpat Rai and Tilak, he belonged to the Lal Bal and Pal trio. His program consisted of Swadeshi, boycott and national education. Bipin Chandra Pal wanted to remove social evils from the society and arouse the feeling of nationalism through education. Okay? From the book also you can read. More points are given. I told some points. Then we will read the contributions of Lala Lajpat Rai. Lala Lajpat Rai was popularly known as Punjab Kesari or Seri Punjab. He founded Punjabi and Bande Mataram and People. That is Urdu Daily Bande Mataram and Punjabi Urdu Daily and People, that is English Weekly. He was associated with the Arya Samaj movement. He set up Servants of the People Society for the welfare of the downtrodden and outcasts. He was instrumental in the expansion of DAV College at Lahore. He joined the Congress in 1888 and remained its member till the end of his life. He was elected president of the Congress in 1920. He became the first president of All India Trade Union Congress in 1920. Okay? So after that, you read page 62. The aims and objectives of the Muslim League is given in this chapter. It came in this chapter. They have given in the syllabus. Aims and objectives of the Muslim League. Just I will tell you the points and you read from page 62. Aims and objectives of the Muslim League. Point 1. To promote among the Muslims support for the British. Point 2. To protect and advance the political rights and interests of the Muslims. Point 3. To present the needs and aspirations of the Muslims to the government. Point 4. To prevent the hostility between the Muslims of India and other community. Okay? In your book page 62 it is given. You can also read from page 62. It is given. To promote among the Muslims of India support for the British government and to remove any misconceptions regarding the intention of the government in relation to the Indian Muslims. To protect and advance the political rights and interests of the Muslims and to represent their needs and aspirations to the government in mild and moderate language. To prevent the rise of feelings of hostility between the Muslims of India and other community. Okay? So, in this lesson, you can read all this. In lesson 4, these aims and objectives of the Muslim League is also there. So, you include this point there. Okay? You read everything, whatever I taught you. Then you can understand. From book also, you read once. You read according to the syllabus.